your Chromebook? At the beginning of ELA, your Chromebook does not need to be open to Seesaw because I'm going to play the videos. Let's listen to what we're learning today. You need to practice mindfulness. If you feel yourself getting sleepy or distracted, you need to come back and focus your attention. We've talked a lot this year about focusing. That means you're thinking about the lesson and you're thinking before you speak.
Yesterday, we practiced the first half of our new success criteria. We practiced retelling folk tales with a focus on fables from diverse cultures. Now we're going to take a look at the second part of that success criteria, which is identify themes in these works. Today, you will define the word theme. You will also practice identifying the theme of a text by thinking about the plot or how you can retell the story. Yesterday, you practiced retelling the fable from a diverse culture. You also practiced identifying and inferring the main idea of a fictional text by providing details with your thinking. Today, we will add a new part of that goal, which is to identify and state the theme of a text with details to prove your thinking. You'll also notice you have some new vocabulary today: evidence and theme. Also, the word infer. These are the words that you will need to successfully prove that you understand how to identify the theme of a text.
Okay, so as Ms. Sousa is instructing you, hands are talking. Take your body and show that you're focused from head to toe. Thank you. Yesterday, we talked about the first half of our skill. Can you retell the plot of a story? That's only half of our skill. Today, we're going to use those same stories and we're going to identify the theme. Can you say theme? So what is theme? We need to learn a little bit more about that before we can identify it in a story. So what is theme? Theme is the message or lesson that is taught by the story. I'm going to read that again and I want you listening. What is theme? Theme is the message or lesson that is taught by the story. What can we learn about life from a story? Yes, Nick. We know that authors can teach us things in their stories. They can teach us lessons. So today we're going to talk about what are some themes that we see in lots of stories. Here are some examples of themes. An author might teach us to respect others and their opinions, even if you don't agree. An author might teach us that true friends stand by you even when life is difficult. These are examples of the types of lessons we can learn when we read a fiction text. So let's go back. Before we look at more examples, we're going to watch a video about theme. I want you to be listening for the definition of theme. What is theme? Can you say it in your own words? Then we're going to go back and talk about more examples of themes that we might see in a story. So get your brain ready. We are going to be listening for the definition of theme as we watch our Brain Pop Junior. Seeing lots of good focus.
Theme.
Make sure your whole body's ready to go.
Theme. Make a map. In this story, Captain Moby and First Officer Mia land on a strange planet. They come across a giant, scary-looking alien. Captain Moby doesn't trust the alien, so he sets his phaser to stun. But First Officer Mia thinks they should talk to the alien and figure out the problem. The first officer listens to the alien and calms it down. It turns out the alien was upset because a ship landed on its birdbath. What do you think the theme of this story is? What is theme? The theme is an idea or message explored in a piece of writing, artwork, or film. The theme might be about our feelings, how people treat each other, or about something in our world that can be better. The theme is often a big idea about our lives. Well, in this story, the alien seems angry and scary. But the first officer learns about the alien's problem. She realizes that it's their fault. The theme of the story is that you should get to know people before you judge them. Right, Moby. The theme isn't usually said outright in a story. You have to infer and look at details and use what you know to come up with an idea. How do you find the theme of a story? As you read, think about the characters. What are they like? What do they find important? In The Cat in the Hat, the cat loves to have fun and break rules. This causes a lot of trouble. The fish wants to keep things orderly and warns the cat to follow rules. The theme of this book is about having fun, but making good choices. When you figure out the theme, think about the plot. The plot is all of the events that happen in the story. What happens to the characters? How do they feel about what happens? The theme of The Tortoise and the Hare is about working hard and not being overly confident. You can also find the theme of a story by thinking about the conflict. What is conflict? A conflict is a problem. As you read, think about the conflict in the story. A character might have to carry out a difficult task, overcome a big fear, or face another character. Think about how the character feels as he or she goes through the conflict. How does the conflict get solved? How do the characters change? A story about arguing friends might have a theme about accepting one another and forgiveness. It's helpful to take notes as you read. You can look them over to help you find the theme. What's the theme of your book, Moby? Let's see. In Charlotte's Web, Wilbur arrives on a farm where other animals aren't so friendly. But a spider named Charlotte promises to be a good friend. Soon, Wilbur finds out he's in big trouble. But Charlotte has a plan to save Wilbur. She spins webs with special messages. She works really hard, often spinning through the night. Her plan works and Wilbur becomes a star. Later, Charlotte lays eggs and Wilbur promises to protect them. He sticks by his promise and guards her eggs. To figure out the theme, think about the conflict and the solution, or how the conflict gets solved. The conflict is that Wilbur is in big trouble. The solution is that Charlotte spins webs with special messages. She promises to help him, and she does. I think the theme is about keeping promises and what it means to be a good friend. You're right, Moby. The theme is an idea that sticks with you long after you've finished reading the story.
How did Moby get there?
Hey, Authors in fiction stories, they tell us lots of themes. Here are some more examples. Authors might teach us the lesson of perseverance. They may say, you need to persevere when things are hard. Or the theme might be, you need to accept people who are different than you. Or keep an open mind about others, right? These are lots of themes that you might see in a fiction story. Please find our task. Please click on activities and assign to class folder. Red ELA.
Red.
Our task today is called How Do I Find the Theme of a Story? We have just learned what theme is, and now it's time for us to practice identifying the theme in a text. Yesterday, we read Ant and the Grasshopper, and we practiced retelling the plot. Today, we will practice identifying the theme. I'm going to read the text with you. And I want you thinking about the theme. Remember, the theme is the lesson or message we can learn from the story. I'm going to be the reader. I want you listening to think, what does the author want us to learn? What can we learn about life from this story? Are you ready? The Ant and the Grasshopper. One sunny summer day, Ant was hard at work, gathering food and bringing it back to his home to be stored away for the winter. While taking a brief rest from carrying an acorn, he heard the most beautiful music. Looking around, Ant spotted Grasshopper leaning against a rock, playing his violin. Ant approached him and complimented him. My, you make some fine music with your instrument. Why, thank you, replied Grasshopper with pride. Come join me. We could have fun and dance and enjoy these beautiful days together. Though the offer sounded tempting, Ant replied, I can't. I'm busy storing up food for the winter. And with a warning, Ant added, I suggest you do the same, for winter is just around the corner. Not too thrilled about the idea of working, Grasshopper replied, Oh, Ant, can't you see? There is plenty to eat in these fields, and winter is far from a splendid day like today. The season will change before you know it, cautioned Ant as he picked up his acorn and trudged his way home with the load. Soon the weather turned cold, and Grasshopper woke to find the field that was once plentiful with food buried under a blanket of snow. No matter how hard he tried, he was unable to dig down deep enough to reach it. Oh, what will I do? Cried Grasshopper in despair. And it was then that Grasshopper remembered the friend he had met in the peak of summer. So off to Ant's house he went in hopes of finding food and shelter. When Ant answered his door, he found a very cold and hungry Grasshopper. Grasshopper pleaded, Oh, Ant, please let me in and share your warm home and good food. Sadly, Ant replied, I've only stored up enough for my family and me. Sorry, friend, but I warned you of this day. I wish you had heeded my warning. And then Ant closed the door. Today, we are thinking about the plot and identifying the theme. What is the lesson? What is the message the author wants us to learn about life? What can we learn from this fictional text? Join me on slide number 2. Slide number 2 looks a lot like yesterday, where you answered about the plot. Here we have, who are the main characters? Number 2, what is the problem the character faces? Number 3, what happens at the end? Remember, plot is beginning, middle, end. What happens at the end? How does the story resolve? And finally, today's most important job is your last box. It says, what is the theme? What can we learn from the story? I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to work with a partner on this one. Then we will talk about your independent task. Okay, 5 minutes to work with a partner, completing these boxes, focusing most of your time on the theme. What can we learn from this story? Your task for today is slides 3 and 4. Slide 3 is the ant and the dove. You read it yesterday. You did the plot yesterday. Today we are adding to the plot and we're identifying the theme. What is the lesson? What is the message from this story? You will do slide 3 and follow these directions. Then on slide 4, you will do the same tasks that we did together, answering these questions, and focus all of your energy at the end. What is the theme? What is the lesson or message we can learn from the ant and the dove? That is your task for today. If you get done with it, you can be working on Lexia units. I will be on at 10:34 math today.